This is Sam Bakhtiar. Welcome to Ever Forward Radio. Today, we're going to discuss how to become resilient, how to overcome obstacles, and how to make sure you don't get depressed and don't get anxiety and live in the moment.
3, 2, 1.
Sam, so bekhair, chitori khubi.
Merci, Aziz.
I have, I think now 3 Persian guests on the show so far, and I just get to show off the extent of my understanding of Farsi. That's about. I got a few other words I can throw out. I can understand a lot more. The important foods, like where's my gorma sabzi, where's my halim, when's the kebab getting here, all the good stuff, man.
Well, what's your favorite Persian dish?
Probably my mother-in-law's gorma sabzi.
Yeah, gorma sabzi is really good, man. Fresh gorma sabzi, yeah, is a game changer.
And then, of course, the grandmother's halim. When it gets cold out, it's just like this incredible. I thought oatmeal was great on a cold morning, but man, you got that halim, you can't touch that. It's no competition.
So you very well know, yeah. Do you like kebabs?
Oh, of course, basha.
So in LA, where's the best kebab that you have had?
I've actually had pretty good kebab here downtown. There's a place called California Kebab Kitchen, and then the Rafi's over in Glendale is incredible.
The Rafi for sure. So California Kebab Kitchen, I got to check it out when I'm downtown.
They're good. Yeah, downtown LA here in the little area. I live in South Park, and it's right. I can almost see it right over here through my window. It's right over here. It's incredible. It's really, really good. It's a good find for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Rafi's, you can't go wrong there. We actually we were there for Nowruz last year, and we did it right, full spread, man.
Oh, now you're getting me hungry. All right.
Well, Sam Bakhtiar, welcome to the show officially. Mr. 1%er here. You're doing well over there in your neck of the woods in Southern California. Family's safe and surviving quarantine, right?
Yes, thank you, Chase. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be on your show.
I received that. Thank you very much. And we were going to be, setting up shop here in your house and doing this in person, but with trying times comes the necessity to pivot and just accomplish the mission in other ways. And so here we are. So I appreciate you being flexible with us. We were talking briefly before we hit record about how I think you're such a great example of resiliency, and not to play lightly of the situation of, look, a lot of pain and suffering is going on in the world. People are uncertain about their health. People are uncertain about their jobs, and we're losing people. And it's just a very interesting time. I don't think any of us have lived through, not my generation, I don't think your generation, just something that the whole world is going through together, that we are having to come together in order to survive. But you've been through trying times before. You've been through a lot of uncertainty. Can you maybe paint some parallels to what is going on in the world right now in your personal life, in business, just you existing day to day, and take us back to that time back in the 80s when you and your mom came over here with just a few bucks to your name, and I'm sure there was a lot of uncertainty then as well, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. I just posted something about that today. I want to show you this. It's a picture of me and my mom, and I just posted this on Facebook.
Shout out, Mom.
I was born in Tehran, Iran. And when I was 3 years old, 2 devastating things happened. And just when we talk about, whenever I say devastation, I understand that devastation is temporary. At the time you think is devastating, but something greater will come later out of it. So every time there was a time that I was really devastated, I was down and out, or I got knocked down at the very beginning of life, starting 3 years old. At the time, I thought the world ended. But when you look back, like Steve Jobs said, when you connect the dot going back, you found out, wow, that happened for me, not against me. And for people who are listening to this, we're going through COVID-19 right now. I truly in my heart believe that this has united us and is going to make us better people, that we all bleed the same color. We're all the same people, and we all get affected the same kind of way. This is a pandemic. So that means that every nation has been affected. Every person has been affected. So after all, I don't care if you're a billionaire, you're broke, you're black, you're white, you're yellow, we all go through the same things in life. So going back, when I was 3 years old, two devastating things started happening to me from the get-go. Number one was my parents got separated. My dad went to Canada and I never saw him again. And which is a pretty big blow as a 3-year-old, baby boy, not having a dad. And the second thing was we went to war with Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and they were starting bombing us every night. And so for a period of 8 years, that was my life. No dad, living with my grandparents, my mom working all day, and me just going to school and getting bombed on. Going to school during the day, we got bombed on at night.
No big deal. Casual. He's like, go to school, get bombed. No big deal.
It's funny, Chase, when people say, do you have any PTSD from that and all that kind of stuff? And I don't remember having any PTSD because as kids, like you are the product of your environment. You don't know any better. So you just grow up like, oh, well, this is normal. You don't know any better. You only get PTSD when you don't know what's normal. What you know the difference between abnormal and normal. Mm-hmm. When you're born in a war zone, that's what you see. No, there's no PTSD. That's just a normal day at the office. Wow. So then I came to America. My mom said, she doesn't want me to get recruited, go to military and fight for some two man's egos. So we escaped the country as refugees and we came to America in 1985 when I just turned 12. I just turned 12. It's so funny because the immigration officer just reminded me that I wasn't 11, I was 12. Because I turned 11. I turned 11. I told everybody 11. I came to America when I was 11, but it's actually July. 11 was May. So I turned 12 in May, and in July I came to America.
Wow.
And when I was coming to America, Chase, I thought that I was coming to Beverly Hills. Back then, they didn't have internet, so I couldn't do any research where I was going. The only research I could do is like to watch American TV shows.
So you only saw the Hollywood America. Yeah.
I saw the Hills, I saw the Hollywood, man. I mean, I remember, you're younger, but there were shows called Dallas, Dynasty, and you might know the A-Team because there was
I love it when a good plan comes together. Yeah.
Yeah. So those three shows, man, I was watching those shows and I thought America was, people having just mansions and Bentleys and swimming pools and things like that, and when I came to America, we had a relative, my uncle, who lived in a little town called Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, yeah.
Yeah, he picked us up from the Pittsburgh airport. We went in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, Sharon, and we were the only minorities in the entire town. And back then, Iranians weren't viewed very well because of all the crap that's happened in the world and the hostages they took from America and all that kind of stuff. So immediately I was named many, many bad names, terrorist, some names that I really don't want to say on your show.
Sure, I can imagine. Yeah.
Just you name it, I've been.
A lot of things that were even relived, unfortunately, brought back during OIF, OAF when I was serving in the military. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Absolutely. So, and my uncle, did what most Middle Easterns do when they become an entrepreneur. They do open up a convenience store in the hood, right?
Oh, classic. Good move, Amu. Good move.
Yeah. So I went to my uncle. We went to my uncle's store. And Chase, I mean that sincerely. Like, as to this day, I've not ever seen a worse neighborhood than that, ever, anywhere. Now, we got out. There was brick roads. There wasn't even paved. Outside in the street, there were signs that said no loitering or you're going to get arrested. I've never seen a sign like that anywhere. And outside of my uncle's store was, prostitutes, pimps, and drug dealers. My uncle had a little convenience store, and that's what I saw. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'd never thought America was something like this.
Talk about going from one literal war zone to a really another type of, maybe you could say war zone, but street crime. Just a lot of negativity, a lot of things that a young person shouldn't be exposed to, that you just traded kind of one evil for another, right?
Well, I'm going to be honest, coming to America and experiencing America as a foreigner and as a foreigner that nobody really liked, and from a country that never really liked. At a young age of 11, when you're really tender and very sensitive, being bullied and called names, that gave me real PTSD. And I love everything that happened to me, because going back, I wouldn't be where I am without being bullied and beat up and called names. That made me resilient. It's crazy. We live in a crazy world today where, I go back every year to my old high school and I donate a scholarship to the high school. Yeah. But when I went back last couple of times, and now I see on the walls, bullying hotline. Call 1-800, whatever, it's a bullying hotline. If you're getting bullied, call this number. And I'm going like, where was that?
What, you guys couldn't have put up a sign 20 years ago?
So, back then, I think that bullying is just part of life. The bigger kid is always going to, bully the smaller kid. The bigger country going to bully the smaller country. That's just how we are. I mean, let's face it, as Americans, as America, we're kind of a bully, which is fine. We are a bully because we want world order. If Iran gets out of whack and wants to do some crazy stuff, we're going to bully him. Hey, dude, I'm gonna blow the shit out of you.
We flex for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we flex for sure, and there's nothing wrong with that. But today we live in a society that I think is so weak. People talking about, oh my God, like he's like, he tried to like commit suicide because somebody cyberbullied him or something like that. And I don't want to be insensitive, and I'm very sensitive to what's going on and all that. I don't want to come out as like I don't understand, but back then, bullying was like, okay, somebody wants to take your lunch. Maybe you get punched in the face. Maybe you get pushed. Maybe you call a name. Okay, you get back up and figure it out. You know what I mean? And right now they're like cyberbullying. What do you mean? Like somebody like unfriended me on Instagram or unfollowed me on Instagram. What am I going to do? Like kill myself because they don't like me or something like that?
Do you think this is a really good topic, really good point here? Not to interrupt you, but I have to ask this question. Do you think bullying, if we look at it through the lens of resiliency, is bullying just maybe a less glamorous, a less politically correct way to kind of talk about resiliency? Because in a way, I think it's a similar process. Like you have to go through toughening, right?
I agree with you. When you go to military, you went to military. Didn't you get bullied in the military? Wasn't your sergeant? When you go through camp, didn't they bully you?
A lot of it emotional abuse, you could say verbal abuse, yeah, for sure. But it was all intentional. It had the right intention behind it because look, we're here to test you in a way because you will be tested once you get through this, specifically training and boot camp and all that stuff. Yeah,
I think in life you are going to be tested. Right? Whether it's in a controlled environment, whether it's in an uncontrolled environment, you're going to be tested. And that's the only way you're going to be able to build resilience and be able to get through life. If someone doesn't go through any testing, any trials or tribulations, then any little thing, they break. Any little thing, those people, how many people like, somebody that can take on 100 million things and still be okay. And somebody says, oh my God, I got laundry on Wednesday. You're like, I don't know what I'm going to do on laundry on Wednesday.
Why is that, do you think? Is it just the simple matter they haven't gone through similar experiences before and they don't know how to handle, or they were coddled? Like, is it or just like an innate characteristic of people? Like, why is that, do you think?
They were coddled too much. They haven't gone through anything. Let me give you an example. We were at a pool, at a public pool with my daughters, and I was kicking back and, one of my daughters, at that time what was she? 4, my other daughter was 8. And this one kid started like pushing my 4-year-old, pushing my 4-year-old. Normal parent would have gone over like, hey, what's going on? What's going on with her? I sat back, I looked, I'm like, I want to see how she wants to handle it. I want to see how she wants to handle it. I'm not going to interfere. I'm going to see what's going on. So I get back, I'm watching from a distance, and she was like, don't push me. And then next thing you know, my older daughter went over there, puff her chest out. And I'm looking back, I'm going to let them handle their own situation. And I see parents right now that they always want to handle everything for the kids and want to cuddle them and all that kind of stuff. This is a process of evolution and growing up. Let them do their own thing. Let them fight their own battles. They got to learn. They got to learn their own way.
You've gone through a lot of battles. The Coming to America story resiliency and becoming a young man here, I can't relate to. I can understand, and I've studied, and I think it's incredible of just what can be. I think you're a great example of what can be. The classic, American dream story here, right? But you, on the top looking down, you didn't have a lot. No father, no money. Just you and your mom and your family here trying to just survive. So what was it for you that clicked, that decided, I want more than this? And not even just I want more, that I can have more, I can create more. When did this all kind of begin for you to move out of that mindset, out of that way of life?
It's hard to say, but I'm going to tell you just some events. Okay, maybe I can put two and two together, because I always ask myself that question. It's the same. I remember ever since I was a little kid, ever since I can remember, 3, 4, 5 years old, I always wanted the best things in life. I always looked at the prettiest girl. I didn't look at the second or the third or the fourth pretty girl.
Every person's like this, right? They all want, everybody wants the best.
I think I was like kind of innate in me.
Sure.
Like I didn't want to date, the cute girl. I wanted the one that it was untouchable. I didn't want,
the best of the best.
Yeah, I always wanted that. I was something that was innate in me, But growing up, I remember, coming to America. We had, we live in the projects, low income housing. We got food stamps. My mom will kill me because she's a Persian mother. She's proud. Don't ever tell people this and all that. And I'm transparent. I don't believe in that. I'm about being transparent. We had cars that broke down all the time. I had to push it, and she had to pop it in the clutch because it was manual. Oh, you name it, we've done it in the cold Pennsylvania winter. And I remember going to people's homes. My friends' homes and my mom's friends' homes, where they had their dad there. They had a Christmas where they were getting the nice, like a bike for present, and they were having all these nice things because they had, they were more privileged. And I told myself, I want that. I want to be able to provide that for my family. I want to be able to provide a life for my family I never had. Mm-hmm. So I started developing, that little chip on the shoulder or dark side. I don't want the circumstances. I don't want this to be a generational thing. I want you to stop it right now. From
this
here on.
This is where you got your edge. I think this is where you got your edge. Yeah.
Yes. And from a very beginning of my life, my mom taught me something, a thing that was very simple, and it was just embedded in me. And she said, Sam, you can be whoever you want to be, as long as you're willing to put in the work. And I live that. I live that. And I truly believe that. If somebody wants to do anything they want, if they put a singular focus on it and they're willing to pay the price, you can be anything you want.
So what was that first thing for you? What was that first big goal that you just locked eyes on and said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be the best at it and I'm going to work towards it? What was that for you? Was it fitness? Was it business? Where did you go first?
So the first thing was, I want to be a bodybuilder. And when I wanted to be a bodybuilder, because I got cut from the basketball team from Sharon, I came there. They didn't have a soccer team, so I went out for the basketball team. I got cut. I didn't make the team. I cried home with my mom. I went to the boys' club to get better at basketball, but I fell in love with weightlifting. I started seeing some results. I told people I want to be a bodybuilder. Everybody laughed. I was like, because some people have the genetics. You got skinny arms, skinny chest, skinny shoulders, but you have a big belly. The only thing I ever had was blessed with was calves.
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous then.
Yeah, that's the only thing my mom gave me those calves, So I started like lifting weights, and everybody was like, "Oh man, how come we don't see any results? So we got to get any results." And I started competing, started winning. I became the first bodybuilder in history to have a first place title in every single weight class.
Wow.
Bantamweight, lightweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight.
Talk about going for the best of the best. That's incredible.
Nobody's ever done that in the history of NPC, National Physique Committee. Nobody has won every division as a trophy, first place trophy in every division.
Wow.
And then after that, I was like, okay, I want to now blow up my business. And my bodybuilding career is over. But now I want to be able to, raise a family, be able to provide for the family, and be able to blow up my business.
Around what age was this for you? Were you early 20s, late 20s, or?
I started my business when I was 27, fresh out of chiropractic school.
Okay.
But at that time, I was still doing bodybuilding, and I was okay with, making some decent money back then and be able to bodybuild. And decent money for me back then was, I make 10, 15 grand a month. And to me, I'm like, nobody in Sharon, Pennsylvania made that. Some people don't make that in a year in Sharon, Pennsylvania.
For a lot of people now, 10 to 15 grand a month is incredible. Like that's dream money, right?
And back then, to me, that was like, I was the Puff Daddy of the family. I was like, I literally thought like I was P. Diddy. I literally had that in my mind.
You were P. Diddy, but the P was for Pennsylvania. You were Penn Diddy.
Yeah, Penn Diddy. You know what I mean? And I would like go out and like to the club, and I would, have bottle service. I was doing all the crazy stuff that somebody would, that's not financially literate would do. And because I didn't have the financial literacy.
What did that mean to you though, right there? I mean, because painting this backstory of coming from nothing, building everything from scratch, I think that's a very natural trajectory for most people when they begin to get that taste of success, especially financial success. Was that as meaningful for you as you thought, or was it kind of short-lived, this kind of glitz and glam and bottle service? Like, did that have an emotional, meaningful connection for you? Yeah, the emotional was like, hey man, I arrived. I want to show the world I've arrived. Sam Bakhtiar is in the house. Look at me. I made it. Because I'm sipping on a $500,000 bottle, and they rented me some chairs for a few hours, that I can meet a man. I want to show the people, I was like, why do you think, the rappers that, that are up and coming, they do that? They don't got no money, but they just go out there and just blow money and on jewelry. Look at me, yeah.
Look at me. And that's what I want to do, because I come from Sharon. I come from the hood. I want to show everybody I made it. Hey, I got money. This money, And so I did that. But I started getting serious about business when I was 32. I just got done competing in Mr. USA bodybuilding championship. I won Mr. Los Angeles. I won Mr. Los Angeles. I went to Mr. USA, got runner-up Mr. USA. And I was like, okay, this is my last year. Now I want to be able to get off of all the steroids. That's what we did, at the NPC. Total transparency. Everybody, guys don't get big like that, by protein shakes. Let's just be like,
all natty, bro, all natty. Just it's all Kebab, Lubia Bolo, and creatine, right?
I was like, what? I need to get off all this steroids, because that's not what I want to do the rest of my life. I want to be able to have a family, be able to conceive children. I want to be able to, raise a family. So I got off all that stuff and started, thinking about raising a family, think about getting married, and now I got to provide, right? And provide for real, So I started doing that, started doing good. And then the 2008 hit. 2008 hit.
Your first big test. Well, I guess another big test for you in the timeline of your story here of resiliency.
Oh, huge, because remember, my whole why was to be able to have a family and provide for them. So now I'm having a meeting with my wife. Then, we're in a restaurant. She was 6 months pregnant, and now I'm sitting in front of her in the restaurant crying. I said, you know what? I have we're negative $314 in the bank. House payment is due. Payroll is due. I said, and then I remember she looking at me. And she was kind of disappointed. She's looked at me and she's like, all this work that you've done, all this hard work that you've done, we have nothing. And I'm like, I don't have nothing. But I say, you know what? Don't worry. I don't want you to go to work. Be home, take care of yourself, take care of the baby. I'll figure it out. And a lot of times, whenever you're going through a devastation, whether it's COVID-19 or recession or whatever it is, everybody's like, how'd you come out of it? How'd you come out of it? What's the formula? What did you use? And I always tell people this. What are my choices?
Powerful question.
What are my choices? The one choice is feel sorry for myself. Blame the economy, blame people, live in regret, and think about the past and say, what, I should have done this. I should have done this. I shouldn't have done that, and blame everybody and everything, and, blame not having a dad and not having financial literacy, blame, the economy, blame everybody and everything, and not go anywhere and be depressed. or get up and say, all right, I can't change the past. I can't predict the future, but I can put in some work today.
You can copy and paste that for the pandemic times today. Absolutely. The same formula for success right there.
Here's what I've learned. Chase, here's what I learned in life. Depression comes from living in the past. Anxiety comes from living in the future.
Right.
You can only be happy if you're living in the moment.
Wow. I think I just found my sound clip. That's incredible.
And I do that every single day. If you ever see me, you're going to see me walking around with a piece of paper.
And what is that for?
That's my schedule.
Okay.
So I don't have any white spaces on my calendar. So people are depressed, people are down because they have too much time in their hands.
Yeah.
So all I do, Chase, the night before, I print out my schedule and I make sure every single moment is filled with activities. Every single moment, whether it's my work day, whether it's my family time, is filled with activities. I don't have time to sit down and dwell on what's happened and what's going on.
This is a good nod that I'm on the right path here. I talk all the time about the importance of time blocking. And when we look at where is the time gone, I'm not accomplishing things, or am I doing the right things? I always ask people, ask myself, well, how are you filling your time? Are you aware of what you're spending your time on? Some things maybe you're giving too much, others too little. I'm a little more digital, but I write everything down. But same thing here. I just go through every day, and I've got just like time block everything. I time block my walks, my calls, my podcasts, my lunch, my workout, everything, because then it just allows me to have a true measure of success day in, day out.
Let me ask you.
Sure, go ahead.
Right? So, what's more valuable to you, money or time?
Time.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Do you see normally, other than rappers in the video, do you see normal people walk around on the street, walking around and just throw money out?
Oh, of course.
You don't.
What do you mean by buying? Oh, like actually throwing money out like that?
You don't see people like actually throw money away, right? You don't see it, right? You don't see people. I don't see people walking right now and just take money out of their pocket and throw it out. Okay? But you see every day people just wasting time. So if we all agree that time is more valuable than money, then why aren't we treating our time like we treat our money?
That's an incredible analogy. If you just pause, if you're listening, watching, just think about that. If you traded every dead space in your calendar, and of course, I'm not saying, always be doing something. Downtime is very important if you're aware of it and you have an intention behind it, but look at where you don't have anything going on. Look at where you are just doing nothing, where you could be doing anything, something. Imagine if you took that same time and just took money out, like took your hourly rate and broke it down by the minute and you just threw that money out. That's incredible. Wow. It'd be nice if people did walk down the street, and if they were wasting time, you could just walk by and pick up their money,
Exactly, man. Hey, if you don't want it, I wish when I see people wasting time, I wish, hey, dude, hopefully if I can use your time and add it to my lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like, one of my mentors told me that by the time you factor sleep, factor work, factor commute, okay, you really live 8 years. You have 8 years of productivity.
Damn.
You have 8 years of productivity for you to be able to do what you want in life. That's not much.
Man, it's kind of a downer thought if you think about it. But again, here's just a great way to look at the whole lesson that you're talking about here is, how do you choose to look at things? You could hear that statistic and think, well, what's the point if I don't have really that much time to do things? But no, then you get the ability to get extra precise with your time, to map out, to set goals, and to just be militant and diligent with how you use that time.
Well, Chase, I don't know about you, but if you've been have you ever been like just really in the zone or hyper focused for a day?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I strive for those days. Yeah.
Imagine if you could do that for 8 years. You know what I mean? Imagine if you could do that for 8 years of hyper. So that's why those times that you have, when you do have, you got to be hyper focused. You got to make sure that you are doing something productive. You're doing something towards your goals. And I 100% agree with you. Even on my thing here, look, after 4 o'clock, it says family time.
Amazing. Yeah.
Which means what? After that, I'm done. My phone goes away, goes upstairs. I don't have my phone. I'm 100% with my family time. I scheduled that as well. You know what I mean? I got to get my work. I got to get my family time. I got to get my gym time. I'm crystal clear. On my schedule, you only see 3 activities. Activity that gives you time with the family, activity that provides for the family.
That's good.
An activity that makes me healthy so I can do 1 and 2.
This reminds me, I was kind of smirking there. You familiar with Bedros Keuilian?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. So I was at a speaking event with him recently, and someone asked a question about this. It was related to time management and time blocking. And they're like, look, B, like, you're so successful. Like, you showed us your schedule. We see all the things that you do. Well, how do you make time for your family and your fun? And he kind of started off with something similar. He's got family time, but he said, look, I make time for fun. Look at my calendar. It says fun from like 10:20 to like 10:45 a.m. This is fun. It doesn't have to be this extremity, I think, that people make it out to be of, I need to know exactly what I'm doing and when. This will come with time. I believe as you begin to just build this infrastructure, you will figure it out. The formula for your own daily success comes to be, but just, you got to start with something. And if you're confused, just do work, fun, and just see what happens. You will get really crystal clear in a matter of days about what you need to fill that time with.
Yeah. 100%, man. You got to start somewhere. And you got to just be mindful of how you're spending your time. It's the same thing as being mindful of what you put in your mouth. You know what I mean? The reason most people are overweight and out of shape because they're not mindful to it. They're just getting by. They're not really putting any thoughts to it. As long as you put a little bit of thoughts into what you're eating, you're going to be okay. And as long as you put a little thoughts about how you're spending your time and what you're doing with your time, you're going to be okay. You're not going to get the schedule perfect. I don't have the schedule perfect. It gets better every year. I'll tell you that.
Amen. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, not to kind of spend too much time here on the story, there's a lot of great content out there. And of course, all of your information and content will be linked down in the show notes. People can really kind of pick up where we left there in the story. But you decided that this is not going to be just, the given. The recession, what I don't have or what I can't do is not on the table for me. So you took action, you built this incredible empire, with your business and with 1% and all these things. And people can just look at you and like, yes, he has been intentional. He has been very intentional with his time. He has succeeded. I'm curious now, I would love to kind of just take advantage of having someone like you on my screen and being able to understand a little bit of strategy of where you're going forward now. How are you being more mindful with your time now? Because all the times that you've been through before of being tested in resiliency, here you are again. Here we are again. Here I am again. Here the person listening, watching is again. How can they learn from you right now, Sam? Like, if you want to share maybe the secret sauce of Sam's formula for success, for resiliency to then kind of pivot and move forward on something, what's on your mind right now, man?
It's a great question. In fact, to sum it up in one sentence. Okay. Here's what I will tell you. When going is good, it's not always going to be good. And when things are bad, they're not always going to be bad. So the key is life is not linear. Life is not linear. We all know, life has its ups and downs, right? So when you're up, you gotta always be prepared to go down. And when you're down, you have to always have faith and hope and be resilient enough to know that you are going to go back up. So as life goes, as you go through this thing called life, you just going to learn and become more wise that your highs are now every time going to get higher. And your lows are going to be higher than the last low. So for example, in 2008, I never experienced depression or a low market before. I bought my first home at almost $300,000. And within 3 or 4 years, That home was $600,000. Well, guess what? I thought I was the man. I thought I was an investor.
Good investment, absolutely, yeah.
I thought I was the, I was King Kong of investment. Hey man, I doubled my money.
Yeah.
I took an 80-20 loan, had no money down, and I was the man. And so when the whole economy crashed and I lost everything, I wasn't prepared for it. So going through that devastation, going through what I've learned, and when I went back up because of resiliency, because of not giving up and just, doing something rather than, being, making up excuses and being a victim, I said, you know what? I'm going to be prepared for the next time. And right now we're going through COVID-19. My gyms are shut down. We have to lay off a bunch of people. But guess what? I'm not stressing at all.
Why is that?
I'm okay because I prepare for a day like this. When the going was good, I knew that it's not always going to be good. I knew it was just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I didn't know when. I didn't know if it was really going to be COVID-19. I didn't know it was going to be another recession. I knew something was coming.
How do you walk through that? How do you walk that line though? Because it can be a slippery slope too. It's going to get bad. I need to always prepare for war. It's never going to be this good again. I'm sure a lot of people, especially when you get into being in business for yourself, it's just you kind of pray for peace, but hope you'll prepare for war. And that mindset can be a slippery slope into always thinking about the worst case scenario and acting out of that instead of just moving forward, but having contingencies and having strategy and having community that can kind of support that if and when it comes. Would you agree?
I agree with you 100%. You don't want to, look at the world. Oh my God, depression is coming. Oh my God. No, you can't predict the future. You can't predict it, but you have to be prepared. You know what I mean? So you can't predict it. So you can't live in the future. But guess what? When the going was good, I saved money. When the going was good, I paid off the house. When the going was good, I made sure I have no debt. And I don't have any debt. But back then, I was making money, but I was taking on a lot of debt. I was taking a lot of liabilities. Like I said, I had homes that was fully leveraged. I had no money on them. I was taking 80-20 loans out. I had 2 mortgages for 1 home. So I was making 20 grand a month and 25% of it was going to a car payment. You know what I mean? I was making those kind of. That's exactly. I told you I was Penn Diddy. Thank you for giving me that Penn Diddy. I'm going to call myself that. That's a good one, man. I'm going to give my name that name.
Take it.
And now I'm prepared. I'm like, all right, well, we're not making any money right now. Gyms are closed. We're eating. I'm not, I told myself after 2008, I will never get another foreclosure notice on my house, ever. I never wanted to come home, but like, if the locks change, am I going to be allowed back in the home? It was the worst feeling. I never wanted my family to go through that. They always say that change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change.
Say that again. That's incredible. Say that again. Person, pay attention. Listen to this.
See, most people don't change because they're not in pain. There's a story that I read that a guy comes in and he sees a dog. And the dog is like kind of whining. And the guy goes, why is the dog whining? So because the dog is sitting on a nail. Right? And they say, well, why does the dog move? Because it's not painful enough.
Wow.
Right? And the dog's only going to move when the pain of staying in that seat is greater than the pain of getting up and going somewhere else. And we're the same way. The only time that you're going to change and get out of your comfort zone is when you're in pain. You're like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of being broke. I'm sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm sick and tired of getting foreclosure notices in my house. I'm sick and tired of feeling like if I'm going to be able to pay for my kid's wedding, we're going to be able to put my daughters to college. I just don't want this no more. I'm sick and tired. You know what? The Jewish people did that. When the whole genocide happened and millions of Jews died, they built the greatest military in the area when they said, you know what, we are never going to be put in that position again. So you gotta find that pain inside of you. You gotta find what ticks you. You gotta get pissed off and tell yourself, man, you know what, this is not going to happen anymore. And I told myself that was never going to happen, and I stuck to my word. COVID-19, world shut down, gym shut down, everybody shut down. You know what?
Bring it.
I'm good.
Bring it.
If I wasn't good, I wouldn't be sitting down talking to you because I wouldn't be able to concentrate. In 2008, I wouldn't be able to have an interview because I was somewhere else because I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Back then, and it's very clear still now, I think one of the ways, I'm going to make an assumption here. I think one of the ways that you have been so successful, aside from just the mindset shift, is that I heard you talk about, you kind of attached a different why to becoming more successful, to digging out yourself out of this hole, to growing a business. You passed a little bit of that weight off of you and attach it to your family. I don't want my family to suffer. I want them to be healthy. You even made a conscious shift into your health. You got off the steroids. Would you say that making as much of, or even just making more of your health, have that weighted in your goal setting, have that weighted in your strategy and in your why? Would you attribute that to a lot of your success? Do you think someone can really be this successful if they don't be mindful, if they're not more mindful of their health along the way?
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, it used to be about having a 20-inch arms, right? That's what it used to be about. Okay. But as you evolve, you got to change. I know people right now that I used to bodybuild with in their late 40s and 50s and some in their 60s, still taking shit, still competing, still living a bodybuilding life. But some of them have dropped dead already.
Terrible. Oof.
Some of them dropped dead already. You know, you can't do what you did in your 20s, in your 40s and 50s and think your body can handle that. You don't have that big margin of error anymore. You know, so when I stop, I'm like, what do I want this phase of my life to be? What do I want to be like? No longer am I going for a 20-inch bicep. Now what I'm going for is, can I get up in the morning without any pain? Can I run around with the kids? What's my blood work looks like? What's my lipid profile looks like? You know what I mean? You know, how fast can I run? How much endurance do I have? How much flexibility do I have? I took yoga, which is like, I hate.
Yoga's been a huge new addition to my life over the years. Transformational.
Bro, I'm a guy who can't even reach to tie his, put his tie on. You know, and now I'm in yoga, doing this kind of stuff, and it's humbling because I'm the worst in the class. People laugh.
But you're there. You're showing up.
You know what? I got to do what I got to do. It's the next stage of Sam.
Incredible. Kind of getting towards the end here, I want to ask another question around, great way to kind of transition the next stage of Sam. Where do you see opportunity here? You were sharing, how you were going to move through this time period. If you could pass on a piece of information to former Sam, someone like Sam right now, back in his 20s and hungry and eager, wanting to create something for himself and for his family, and just choose to build out of this time right here, right now, instead of just wallow and wonder and wait for the world to just wake up and change overnight. What are some unique opportunities you're seeing right now? Where can somebody really build something perennial out of this time?
That's a great question. One thing that I've learned from the great Warren Buffett, he said that if you want to be successful, look at what everyone is doing and go the opposite direction. And that's why I have the 1%er brand, and that's the whole vivid of it. The 1%er is somebody who doesn't try to do the popular thing. They have a goal in mind and they stick to their goal. I think, in my opinion, the number one reason for success is learning to delay gratification.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
For those people who don't know what that word means, delay gratification is giving up something that you want now for something greater later. Okay. There's been studies done on it. It's, called the marshmallow test. People can Google it. Stanford University in 1940s. I don't want to get into that. If we all learn as society to learn to delay gratification, whether it's, okay, we want to lose weight, okay, delay gratification of having that pizza or a hamburger or ice cream. But we want to, succeed and we need to, have some capital, or delay gratification of getting the iPhone 79 and the Jordan 52, and whatnot. If you learn to be able to delay gratification and be disciplined enough, then you will be able to do something that nobody else can do. And I think Dave Ramsey said this: if you want to live like no other, you have to be willing to live like no other for a while. And I see a lot of people right now, there's opportunities right now. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. The neighborhood that I live in, homes here range anywhere between 3 to 5 million. Okay. There are like 4 homes for sale here. And just in the last month, they've dropped the price for about $400,000.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So the home was that was like selling for like 3.6 million. It's now selling for 3.2 million. That home that was like 5 million is for 4.5 million. So in a matter of a month and a half, it decreased by $500,000.
My wife and I were looking at a house recently, and in about 3 weeks, it dropped 74,000.
There you go. So guess what? When nobody is buying, you buy. When everybody's buying, you sell. But you can't do that if you haven't delayed gratification. If you haven't delayed gratification. So you have to delay gratification where everybody's out in the malls buying stuff that they don't need to impress people that they don't like.
So true.
And you're there, you're saving your money, you're sticking to your goals, you get in the gym, and then all of a sudden something like this happens. All the greatest wealth is made in a down economy. Nobody made money in a good economy. Everybody made money in a good economy. Only few savvy people made fortunes in the down economy. Warren Buffett said that every so many years, some new investors learn a very old lesson.
Very true. Very true. And I think that makes sense, because when we get into times like this of seeing what we're worth, and we choose resiliency, really, what do most people do? We go and we look to people that are successful. We look to people that still are successful during these uncertain times. And then we go back in time. We look at, all right, what are these classics? What are these books? What are these lessons, these life principles that have not changed or have deviated very, very slightly over generations and generations? Because why? They freaking work. It's the secret sauce. It's the truth that never changes that you're talking about here. Wow. Well, Sam, it's been incredible having you on here. We're going to wrap up here in a second. I just want to take a minute and just really honor everything that you've been through in your life and your family, and for choosing resiliency and choosing to overcome circumstances. It really resonates hard with me, and we didn't get a chance to dive into the backstory here beforehand, but real quick, Ever Forward Radio is not only just the name of the show here, it's my life mantra. It's tattooed on my arm. It's everywhere in my life and my body, because it was this legacy passed down to me from my late father, passed away about 15 years ago from a really cruel terminal illness. And literally up until his dying breath, it was this mantra we heard growing up as kids, and then again during his illness, was don't let this stop you. No matter what, move forward, ever forward, ever forward. And it knocked me, thank you. It knocked me and my family on our asses for years. But then something clicked when I realized that I wasn't living to my full potential. I wasn't living and honoring his legacy and this message. And it was easy for me to say, but why couldn't I actually do it and become it? And it was because I was not choosing resiliency. I was living in the past and stressing out, and I'm staying anxious about the future because I was not allowing myself to work through it, and I wasn't making the choices to embody it and move forward. And once I did, the sky's been the limit ever since then. And I've just been moving ever forward ever since that day, about 5-6 years ago, when I went through all of this kind of self-realization. And now here we are. I'm living my purpose, living my passion, talking to incredible people, learning from people like you, and getting to know you more. So that's what Ever Forward is. That's the backstory here. Thank you. I always ask everybody, what does that mean to you? How does Saman Bakhtiar live a life ever forward?
Well, here's one thing that I realized, Chase. I realized when I was growing up poor, for me, success was the mansion, the cars, the watches, the exotic vacations. That was what success was meant to me. But when I finally got to my goal of what I thought success was, I thought that, what, that doesn't make me happy. Everybody asks me, it's funny, everybody asks, so what's your favorite car, Sam? I'm like,
you got some nice ones.
and I told him, honestly, my favorite car is the one you never think about. You would never think is my Infinity SUV. It's not the Rari, it's not the Lambo, it's not the Rolls, it's not the Range Rover, because it's simple. I just get in it, and I put the kids and the dog in it, and I'm good. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about going over a bump. It's comfortable and, it's simple. So when I got here, I'm like, what really makes me happy? And for me was progression, moving forward. I can be in my old project home, in a low income housing home with one bedroom. As long as I'm getting better every day, that makes me happy. I can be in this multi-million-dollar mansion. If I'm staying the same, I'm unhappy. Like, my wife knows that about me. My wife knows that I need my reading time. I need my study time. I need my, ever forward time. You know what I mean? I can't, for me, if you are not getting better as a human being, you're disrespecting God. We are at the top of the food chain, not because we're stronger than the lions or the elephants. The only way that we get at the top of the food chain is because me and you and every human has the ability to think and say, how can I move forward? How can I get better? How can I improve on things? We put the man on the moon, not the dogs. We invented the plane, not the cats. We invented electricity, not the tigers. So if you are getting up every single day and you're the same person you were the day before, then you're not using what God has given you to do. You might as well become an animal. You might as well become because you're not using that ability. And Ever Forward to me is all about moving forward and getting better than you were yesterday. 1% is all about you are being 1% better than you were yesterday. I don't want to be the same guy I was yesterday. I want to become better.
Powerful. Just for anybody out there who, I also run a book club, and our book last month was Atomic Habits by James Clear. And you read it. I'm sure it's somewhere up there in the stack behind you there. And this incredible analogy that hits very hard, very early in the book is, if you improve your life in any area, in any way, just 1%, this is a measurable statistic. At the end of a year, your overall quality of life, that thing that you work on, has become better by over 37%. If you become less better, if you deviate, if you downgrade by 1%, or that same time at the end of the year, the overall quality of your life has dropped significantly. I forget the number off the top of my head right now. This statistic may fall short on the listener, but I'll put it down in the show notes and you can check it out. But just your phrase here of 1%, it doesn't take a whole lot, but it takes doing little every day and wash, rinse, repeat, and discipline to increase quality of life over time.
Chase, I'm sure you read this book, The Compound Effect.
Oh, geez.
And that's pretty much my life. I didn't become, the first bodybuilder in history because I had amazing genetics. No. I didn't. I had okay genetics, but I get in the gym day in, day out. I stick to my diet day in, day out. I did whatever I had to do, one day at a time. I still do it one day at a time. When I talk to anybody, one of my business partners, son, Austin, he has the number one YouTube show in the world called Ace Family.
Oh, yeah. Know that.
So, I know him for years. And I asked Austin, I'm like, Austin, what happened? When'd you hit it? He goes, Sam, we were making videos and nobody was watching them. We were only 1 view, 2 views, 5 views, 10 views. Because I just kept making videos.
Yeah.
And soon I hit that point. So if you do anything enough times and you do it enough tenacity and enough passion, you're going to get there.
I love it. Well, I want to be mindful of your time today, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on here. It's been incredible. Of course, I'm going to have all of your information and content down in the show notes. You guys definitely want to check him out more. And once we get on the other side of this, I'm taking you out to California Cowboy, man. I'll deliver it. Whatever we got to do, I'm gonna treat you right.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it. And let me just tell you that it's an honor and privilege to be here on your show. And I want to thank you, as an American, as someone that, thank you for serving the country.
Thank you.
Your service. Again, I'm going to go back and say that when we were in my former country, when we were in a war, we were in a war. I heard machine guns. I heard, planes flying, and it's so funny because I don't really watch TV, but there's so many times throughout my career, I haven't watched TV, watch TV in years. And I will go and talk to a client and they're like, Sam, you don't know what's going on? We're at war. I'm like, we are? Who are we fighting? Because in my former country, as soon as we were at war, we heard machine guns, we heard planes flying.
I don't need TV to tell me that. I look out my window.
And now we're like, we're at war. I'm like, we live in the greatest country, and thanks to the United States, thanks to for people like you that serve in the military, and I want to just honor you for that.
Thank you. I received that. Merci.